Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 27. Today, we're going to be talking about something that both Laura and I know really, really well. We're going to be talking about how and why you would use a realtor who's also licensed, dual license as a loan originator, right? And so, I think that this is an episode. It's a long time coming. We kind of touched base on this from a why would you want to do it as an employee or maybe as a worker. Why would you want to have both license? But now we're going to talk about why the clients would actually want to use us, some of the benefits and everything like that. So um uh, of course, I have Laura here with me, and so he's going to be going over this with us. um Laura, like, we should probably have talked about this sooner, huh? I think you're muted, so
Sorry, yeah, I was on mute. My bad. So
it's all
yeah,
good.
yeah, something you and I, we're both dual license actually, and we don't really promote ourselves from this standpoint quite a lot.
Hmm.
And just something that not a lot of consumers know about is an option that is out there available because quite honestly, there's not a lot of real estate professionals that are dual licensed to begin with, right? Um, and some people think it's illegal, right? They don't know any better, but
Hmm.
that's what they'll automatically assume. um but quite honestly, just to start off with, it is legal, right? And there are lots of companies actually, a lot of major companies right now are trying to bring everything vertically in-house, right? From lending, the company has the lending arm, they have the real estate agents, so it's beginning to look like all-in-one solution, right?
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you. I think that, having both the dual license has its advantages. Not only do we know more about the whole entire process, right, from A to Z, but we're also involved in it, right? So we know everything from getting the pre-approval all the way through, and the challenges of getting the pre-approval, all the way through getting them pre-approved, looking for a home, finding the right home, going through the inspections and everything, then finally moving over to the loan side where you got to get the appraisal, you got to go through the underwrite and get them cleared close so that they can actually go to closing and actually close on the home. I think it's a huge deal, and there's a lot of things that happens behind the scenes, especially from the loan side, that you don't see very often. And even sometimes on, like, let's say for example, if you're the listing agent, right, and you're helping out with the loan, or if you're the listing and the buying agent and the loan officer, right? I know here in the state of Minnesota, now you got to check with your state, of course, right? You got to check with your state to make sure that your state is good to go with. But here in Minnesota, we allow that, and it works out really, really well. And I know that in Milwaukee, you guys do that too, right, Laura?
yeah, I believe there's only two states right now that you cannot be both the buyer agent and the loan officer on the same transaction, and I think that's Utah and Louisiana. So,
Yeah, yeah. So, pretty much everywhere else, you're able to do the dual license and take advantage of that. And I think that, as a client coming in, like, you're going to be saving money, you're going to be saving time, and you're going to be, you're going to be handled with someone that's going to be honest with you throughout the whole entire process, right? Someone that you know and trust, and can give you peace of mind throughout the whole entire process to make it as smooth as possible, right? Of course, you should get to know your loan officer as well as your realtor. If they're one person, it's easier to get to know them. It's easier to get to know their thoughts and philosophies and to gather ideas. But I think as a consumer, if you're a first time home buyer, reach out, talk to them, and make sure that they know exactly what you want, as well as how you need that communication to work out. And at the same time, that's I think that's what we do, is we make sure we communicate and make sure the clients have uh the best knowledge to make informed decisions, right? So,
mhm.
all right, let's jump into this, right?
Yeah.
So for sure we can have both licenses, right? So we talked about that a little bit. Minnesota, Wisconsin, and a bunch of other states allows us to have both licenses. Now, different programs may not allow it. Like I know that we have a hard time with FHA on FHA loans. Usually you have to be one or the other, right?
Yeah, actually,
Um,
FHA has been approved now. It is
oh,
approved.
okay, that must be recent. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so sweet, sweet.
Yeah, I think it's like only like USDA, I think, that gives us trouble. But FHA did change their guidelines. So
That's perfect. That's perfect. I haven't even seen that come through yet. So I'm sure I'll see that really soon here. But instead of having two people, right, we only have one person, right, that's involved in the whole entire process. And I think that that usually goes pretty smoothly because not only does your realtor know what you can afford, right, but they also know the different negotiating tools that you have from a lending perspective, right? Because sometimes we have different programs, right? We have different things that we can do from the loan side as well as things we can do on the realty side. And being able to be the person that handles both, you're able to be able to negotiate better. Do you feel the same way?
yeah, yeah. I mean, so a while back, somebody I had come across a question, right? A new buyer, right? New home buyer. He asked a question. It's just random on Facebook, right?
Hmm.
And he's like, the question was, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Who should I talk to first? Should I talk to a loan officer or should I talk to a realtor?" Right? And that's basically kind of like the chicken and the egg kind of question, right? Like, hey, who
Hmm.
do you really talk to when you're trying to do these things, right? Especially
Hmm.
something like big and expensive. Um, and it's a legit question, right? Like, obviously, if you talk to your local bank, right? A lot of people start that way, right? Because you bank
Yeah.
there, you're comfortable. You walk in, you're like, hey, I want to buy a house, and that's where a lot of people start. And so nothing's wrong with that, but the thing is that a lot of times they're just going to randomly assign you a loan officer, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
you may not like how they communicate. You may learn that they're not working that hard for you, right? Um, and so you may not like that person, right? And so you're kind of like, well, probably don't want to use this person. Um, but then at the same time, you still have the other question, like, okay, well, how do I go find a realtor now, right? How do I go find that, right? And sometimes, I mean, some of these lenders
Yeah.
they do have realtor partners already, and so they're going to try to direct you to their realtor partners, right? Um, but at the same time, now it's kind of like, what if you don't like that person, right? Or what if you don't like how they communicate or how they're explaining things to you, right? Um,
Hmm.
it's very true in what we do. We offer a service, right? But as a consumer, most of the time people are shopping us for rates, right? Like, hey, who's the lowest rate? Who's the lowest rate? Right. But at the same time, it's like, hey, we honestly we understand a perspective, right? We do that all the time when we go shopping. Like, hey, I want to buy it for the cheapest price too. But at the end of the day, there's also the other component, right? Where it's like service, right?
Hmm.
Who
Hmm.
makes this the easiest process for you? Who can explain it the best to you, right? And everybody's a little bit different on how they communicate, how they understand. But it's kind of like the what you said, kind of like the left arm and the right arm, right? So on one arm you have the realtor, one arm you have the lender, the loan officer, right? And they're supposed to game plan together and help you come up with your goal to achieve your goal of buying at home, right?
Yep.
And a lot of the times, I I've been a realtor first, right? And sometimes I have buyers who come to me and they already have a lender, right? They already have a pre-approval,
Hmm.
but it's a random person from their bank or whatever, and the communication sucks. It's terrible, and I'm just going to be honest with you, right? It's like um, you can't get a hold of the LO after 5 o'clock because banks don't, they're not open after five.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
you got to put in an offer. You got to, hey, we need a pre-approval letter updated. Well, we got to wait till tomorrow, right? um,
Right.
and it's frustration for the client. I feel their pain, but there's nothing I can do because I'm only the realtor, so there's only so much.
Hmm.
Um, but even at the same time, I mean, sometimes we as a realtor we have to communicate with the loan officer on the other side, or maybe vice versa, right?
Hmm.
Loan officer talking to the realtor, and if it's not a good communication, teamwork wise, it's not really benefiting our mutual client, which is the buyer, right? I mean, so
Right. Right.
so long-winded, but it's essentially talking to one person essentially is going to save you a heck of a lot of time. And like you said, if the one person knows exactly what you can afford, and as well as they're your agent, if you really trust them and their skills and their expertise, they can make this whole process a whole lot easier for you, right? They can lay out the whole strategy, and then it's up to you to see if you want to follow and you want to understand what and you trust what they're doing, right? So,
Yep. Yep. No, I'm 100% with you. Like the traditional route is to have, one realtor and then one loan officer, and it's like you said, chicken or the egg, right? And most good realtors, what they'll do is when you if you talk to them, like most people talk to the realtor first, right? And the
mhm,
reason I say that is because they're looking for a house, so they want someone to go show them a house. So the
mhm,
first thing they're going to do is they're going to reach out to the realtor and they're going to say, "Hey, can you take me to go see a house?" Right?
mhm,
However, a good realtor would say, "Are you qualified?" Right? And if you're not, then now you need to go to get qualified, right? And if you're already qualified with a major bank, that's totally fine. However, it's like Laura said, if you're with a major bank, then on the weekends they may not work. And if they don't work on the weekends and you can't communicate with them on the weekends, which we oftentimes do most of our showings on the weekend, it makes things very difficult, right?
yeah.
Secondly, I think from a loan officer perspective, we can like so I have a listing that I've been dealing with and we're trying to get it closed, where they're having qualification problems, right? And I can actually call up because I have both licenses, right? I can actually call up the loan officer as the listing agent and say, "Hey, I actually know this area of business. I used to be an underwriter. Lean on me so I can help you through this process, right? So what have you thought of and what haven't you thought of? And have you thought about paying some debts off to qualify? Have you thought about getting a gift? Have you thought about changing it to a 40-year amortization versus a 30-year amortization?" Right? You're looking at multiple different scenarios. And the thing is that if you're a realtor and you're not a loan officer, you don't have that knowledge. And if you don't have that knowledge base, what happens is sometimes the loan officers will be out of ideas and they'll come to you and just be like, "Hey, so um the loan is denied and we're done." Right? Where
Mhm,
it could have been as simple as, "Hey, how about we, get the father to pay off the car, and then the father can take over the car, right? And later on when the client is able to afford the car again, they can go back and get it, right? And they can get a loan to pay off the father, whatever the case is, right? There's a bunch of different scenarios that you can get into where you can actually repair and move things along. And I think that that's huge. Where if you're a realtor and you don't actually know, that makes things kind of difficult. So, moving on, right? So, Laura, how did you end up like? So, I know you started in realty first, right? How did you end up in the loan industry?
Um, well, I mean, I am a, engineer, right, by background,
Mhm.
right? Recovering engineer, like to say it. Left that world, the cubicle life, to become a realtor, right? And, yeah, started doing pretty well as a realtor, but honestly, it kinda got boring, but, decided, "Hey, you know what? I like numbers. I'm an investor. I like to run numbers on deals." So, just kinda naturally, like, I always knew I eventually wanted to get into the numbers portion, right? Like, more as a loan officer. Um, and quite honestly, it's kinda like what we were talking about. I mean, once you become an expert in a certain area, now you can better serve your clients, right? And I work with a lot of investors.
Mhm.
So, I'm always learning loan programs anyways, right? And it's most of the time, I have a better understanding of that than some loan officers do, right?
Yeah.
And not every loan officer understands investor, right?
Right.
And same with the realtor side, right? Not every realtor understands investing, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So quite naturally, it's just like, hey, I want to know what loan products are out there. I want to know what I can best offer to my investors, how they can grow their portfolio, right?
Mhm.
And the only
Mhm.
way to do that is to get your license, right? And so once I got my license as a broker, which is a little bit more harder than just your banker loan officer, because they don't have to go through that testing that we do, right, as
Right.
brokers.
That's so true. That's so true.
So yeah, I mean that, and it's a pretty hard exam, quite honestly. The realtor exam was super easy, I thought. But the mortgage loan officer license, the safe MLO exam, it has like a 40% failure rate.
Oh, is that right? I never looked into it.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty
insane.
high failure rate, man. It's tough, and it's crazy because there's so many different. It's just studying is like there's a lot of rules, regulations, right? And honestly, it's a lot tougher than being a realtor, I think, because I mean, you're dealing with people's money, you're dealing with the bank's money,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
there's lots of laws and regulations to make sure you're doing it right. Otherwise, you're gonna
Absolutely.
go to jail or fines, right?
Absolutely. Yep,
Um,
yep.
so yeah, it's tough, but it's pretty cool. It's a cool thing. So
Nice, nice. Yeah, so, like, for myself, right, I've been in the mortgage industry for about well, since 2001, and I eventually worked my way up to wealth management and underwriting, and so, um and in underwriting, it's great in everything, right? Don't get me wrong, like, I was paid well, but I was capped, right? I was capped
yeah,
at, what I could make in addition to like, I was spending, somewhere between, 60 to 80 hours in my job just to make sure that I can manage my team and manage all the people that you're hiring, as well as the people that you're serving, as well as, have conversations with all of the loan officers. And so I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Why don't I try the loan officer gig and
mhm,
see if I could be successful at that? And the first year it went really, really well. Now, in the
yeah,
midst of being an underwriter, right, I also wanted to invest in real estate properties similar to you, right? And so I picked up some real estate properties, and the realtors at the time, they were okay. They weren't bad, but they couldn't move at my pace. And so I figured, you know what? I can do what they do. So let me just go ahead and get my license and let me do it too. And
yeah,
so I did, and specifically and solely for just investment purposes. But then, of course, you get families and friends that are reaching out to you, and you get people that understand your expertise as an underwriter, as a loan officer, and now having your real estate license, you can take them to go and get the best deal possible.
right.
You can make amazing things happen, right? And so,
So let's back up a little
um,
bit. What is for people watching, right? They probably have no idea what an underwriter is. They're probably like, "What the heck is that?" Right? So can you kind of quickly explain what is an underwriter?
Yeah, so every loan program has a bunch of guidelines that we have to like as underwriters review and make sure that they qualify, right? Because as underwriters, you have to make sure that the person can qualify for the loan, can make the payments, and can
Mhm,
actually purchase a specific size loan. So we're the ones that approve and deny loans, right? At the end of the day, you come
mhm,
to a bank and you're like, "Hey, so this is the loan I want." It goes to an underwriter. They review your credit, your assets, your income, the property scenario, and all of the characteristics of that transaction to verify, hey, are they good at making payments? Are they reliable when it comes to making payments? Are they someone that can afford to make the payments? Because the honest truth is that we're not here to put people in really, really financial difficult situations, right? So you're looking at whether they can afford it or not, and do they have the assets? Do they have the reserves? Especially if you start getting into investment properties, can you afford to purchase that home and keep that business going, or keep that house paid so that you can stay in the house? We're the ones that make that decision, right? As underwriters, we make that decision whether you can actually um, afford to buy the specific home that you want to buy, and then
mhm.
we decide what loan amounts will work for you. There's usually like a 50% debt to income ratio, and if you don't know what that means, feel free to DM me on the side. But underwriters, basically, at the end of the day, they make the decision whether to approve you or deny you of the loan for the house or the mortgage for the house.
Yep, yep. So like I used to before I became a loan officer, I didn't really know a whole lot about underwriters, but I just knew they were the people that killed the deals. So I used to get mad at my loan officers, be like, "Hey, what the heck's going on? Like, why are you guys being so difficult with the buyer, right? Like, why are you asking for so
Yeah,
many documents, right?"
yeah.
So we used to always like yell at our loan officers, right? but then of course, loan officers try to keep everything cool in the front, right? Like
Mhm, mhm.
make sure everything's okay, but really in the back end, it's like a fire going on the back, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, like, you probably have never seen the fulfillment side of the mortgage,
Mhm.
but dude, like, people are fighting all over the place. You got the processor, the loan
Yep.
officer, they're fighting against the underwriters to make sure
Oh
that
yeah.
it closes right, and then they're fighting with the closers to make sure that it moves as fast as it needs to move, and, I mean, there's a lot going on in the background, and, we say fight, and I say that kinda lightly, like, there's definitely conversations that need to be had to make sure that the process can move smoothly and that the person actually qualifies and we're not putting them in a difficult situation, right?
Right.
And so my thoughts are is that, hopefully your loan officer, when they're pre-qualifying you, they're doing their due diligence and they're reading the documents up front, to verify that you actually truly do qualify, right? Because there's been times where clients will come up to me and they're like, "Yeah, I make 40,000 a year," and then
Mhm.
I get the pay stub and they're only making 30. It's difficult, right? Especially if we're giving you a pre-qual,
Yeah.
which we're going based off of what you say versus a pre-approval,
Right.
which is us pre-underwriting the deal, right? So,
Right. Right. Yeah, they might be like, "Yeah, yeah, I make 30, but then I got the $10,000 bonus."
mhm,
And
mhm,
then you're like,
mhm.
"Well, do you expect $10,000 bonus every year?" And they're like, no."
It was a one-time thing, right? It was a one-time thing. It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
no, we're not gonna be able to
Yeah,
use that,
we
man."
can't
Like,
use that.
that's
Yeah, we can't use that. Yep,
yeah.
yep. But, yeah, so something else, I mean, underwriters, they do 2 jobs, right? They qualify the buyer, right? Make sure the
Mhm, mhm,
borrower make sure you're good for what you're saying. And then number 2, I think, we haven't gotten to a little bit yet, is, they also qualify the property, right? Um,
mhm, mhm.
so they wanna make sure that the property that the borrower wants to buy, um, is good, right? It's not a dilapidated, it's not,
Yep.
uh, there's not a giant hole in the ceiling in the roof, right? And
Yeah, it's
water's
gotta
just
be
coming down.
habitable. Yeah.
Right, right. It's gotta have heat.
Mm,
It's gotta, right? So there's certain things that the property has to pass too. And that's kind of where it can get a little bit dicey because sometimes along the transaction, maybe the seller wrote in the condition report, "Oh, when it rains, water comes in the basement." Some
yeah, that's
underwriters,
an issue.
that's an automatic red flag. Right?
Absolutely,
And the
absolutely.
underwriter's like, "Hey, what do they mean by water comes in the basement?" Right? And
Yeah.
so if you're the borrower, you're the buyer, there might be some additional things that the seller's gonna have to produce in order for the underwriter to feel satisfied that it's not a safety issue, it's not a structural issue, right? Because if it is, that loan's being denied. So, yeah. So fun stuff we have to deal with, which if you're not a realtor who understands the loan side, you may not even know what's going on back there, right? The loan officer
Mm,
might just be trying to keep everything like calm because the loan officer is trying to get everything in line in the back. Yeah, I recently had to deal with this issue, so it's fun stuff. But like you said, as a dual licensed professional on I was a listing agent, by the way, and so
okay.
I was talking to the buyer agent was freaking out. The buyer agent was like, "Dude, I don't know what's going on with the lender. They're crazy. They're asking me for all kinds of documents. And here's the text. Look, look at the text." So I'm looking at it, and me being a dual licensed professional, I do understand the lending side. I know what the loan officer is trying to do, right? I see that
Mhm.
he wrote in there, underwriter wants to make sure that this is not a safety issue. They want a contractor to write a letter that says there's no water in the basement, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, of course, the contractor that my seller used, because I'm on the listing side, my seller used a contractor, and this contractor doesn't want to write a letter. And I'm like, come
Mm,
on, like, all we need is a letter to satisfy this underwriter so he could check this box off in his letter and his like checklist, right? So we can get this
mhm.
loan cleared and go to closing. Like if we don't get this letter, we're nobody's gonna get paid. Okay. So
Right,
you're not gonna
right.
get paid, the seller's not gonna get paid, like come on, like, and of course they refused. And I don't know, contractors, some of them are weird. They just don't want to take any liability, even if it's the work they did.
Mhm.
So we had to
Yeah,
we had to get creative. We had to go find a different contractor to come in, inspect the basement, and say, okay, looks fine to me. There's no water here. Here's a letter. And as
yeah.
soon as the underwriter got that, hey, we're clear to close. We're going to closing. So
Nice, perfect.
yeah. Hmm.
No, I think that that's, that's a huge key point, right? So traditionally, you have 2 different people that's involved and sometimes 3, right? Because you got
Hmm.
the buyer's agent, you got the listing agent, and then you also have the loan officer. And then you have the clients in between, right?
Yep.
And
Hmm.
so when you're talking to, let's say, for example, in your case, the buyer's agent didn't know how to handle the situation with the loan officer and the underwriters. They didn't know
Yeah.
exactly what they needed, right?
Right.
And so it took someone with the expertise of understanding the mortgage industry, right? They're, I mean, they're pretty lucky to have you as a listing agent who is also a loan officer that understands that, oh, this is what they're asking for, right? Because
Hmm.
if that wasn't the case, now you have, and oftentimes the loan officers don't talk to the realtors. So now the clients become a middle person, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
they're like, "Well, what'd your agent say?" And then the client's like, "Well, my agent said this." And then of course the loan officer is like, "Well, that's not going to work." Well, tell your agent that we said it's not going to work. And then the communication goes back and forth, and the clients get stuck as the middle person, and they have no idea what's going on because, like, they're not in the industry like we are on a
Hmm.
day-to-day basis. They're only in
Yeah.
the industry for, like 1, 2, maybe 3 transactions,
Hmm.
and that's in their lifetime. And so my thoughts on that is that, like, hey, they're not going to know as much as we do, and we are the professionals. If we
Hmm.
have both, right, and we have the knowledge and understanding, we have the ability to have those conversation, look for solutions. And, like, the honest truth is that even though your contractor wasn't able to do it, you had the communication with their side, and their
Yeah.
contractor was able to put it together and make it happen. Now, the honest truth is, without you knowing those details, it would have been going back and forth. I don't know how many times, because communication, like, I used to be an underwriter, so I can say this, right? Underwriters understand underwriting lingo, right? They don't understand that, like, when they want something, right? They're like, okay, we want a licensed contractor to write a letter stating that um there is no leak in the basement, or whatever the case is, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um and then when we get the letter says there's no leaks, right? And we're like, wait, this isn't gonna work. Like, you have to have the details of everything that we said, and then you gotta send it back, right? But if you have someone like you who understands the lingo, now you're
Yeah.
like, okay, we gotta make sure we have this correct, right? Now,
Right.
can can realtors gain that experience over time? I think that they can,
Hmm.
but look, they're not licensed loan officers, so they're not aware of it all the time, nor does it come up all the time. And so, like, by the time it happens again, which could be 2 years from now, they may have forgotten everything. But as a loan officer, we deal with it almost on a consistent basis, where you're trying to figure out in solution and understand what the underwriters are saying,
Hmm.
and understand the lingo, right? So I think that's huge. So thanks for going over your transaction, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so we have another one, like, point of contact, right? Point of contact. um like, I know for me, it's pretty easy for my clients to reach me, right? Most of the times I respond within a 2-hour time frame. However, there are times where I'm on a plane and I'm stuck and I can't do anything, right? And it takes me longer to respond. But for you, right? For example, being the loan officer as well as being the realtor, when you're in a transaction like that, are you able to communicate faster uh than if there were 2 people involved, like when you're working with a loan officer or when you're working with a
Uh,
realtor?
yeah, yeah. I would say most definitely. I mean that you're essentially cutting out a person, right? I mean, so
Mhm.
you're saying like, hey, if I was, let me, if, so just rephrase it so make sure I understand the question. Like, You're saying if I'm representing I'm representing the buyer as both the
Mhm.
buyer agent and the loan officer, correct?
Correct, correct.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it goes way smoother. Um, at first, some listing agents are like, "Hold on, like you can do both?" I was like, "Yeah, I can do both. Yeah, it's legal. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's fine."
Right.
Right? Yeah, that's usually the first question, and then they're like, "Whoa, that's really cool. Okay, cool. We'll, and then we'll take your offer." But really, they find out that it's a lot smoother because, I mean, if there's any questions about the loan process, and because we're the lender, we're providing them continuous updates on everything, right?
Mhm,
As
mhm,
as the loan process is going, we're like, "Hey," not only we're like on the realtor side, we have to worry about inspection, right? We have to make sure our buyers get through inspection, right? Which the listing agent's gonna know about that, right? But then usually after the inspection hurdle, the next thing is appraisal and the loan approval, right?
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
which it usually goes pretty as a buyer agent, you're done pretty much after the inspection, you're pretty much done, right? You wipe your hands, you're like, now I just gotta wait for the loan officer to do their thing, right?
Yep, yep.
Um, and so because we're the buyer agent and we're the loan officer, now we continue to keep the listing agent updated. We're like, hey, appraisal's been ordered, should be happening this date, and of course, we're the loan officer, so we're gonna know when the report comes back, right? And so
Yeah.
if it's good, we're like, hey, just a heads up, it's good. We're good with appraisal. We can move forward. And now we're just waiting for the final clear to close, right?
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
so all that stuff is really cool. And then, of course, if there's issues, like sometimes nothing ever goes smoothly, right? If you're buying like an investment property and you're like, hey, we can't get into the property, or the appraiser couldn't get in because the tenant wouldn't let them in, that's when the listing agent's got to get involved. Like, hey, we
Mhm.
need to get access to the property, otherwise we can't get this appraisal completed, right? I've had that happen before. That's never fun. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I
but
think that there's some things that when you have both license, you can solve faster, right?
yeah, right.
Like say for example, if you're the buyer's agent and the appraiser can't get in, what do? You run over there and you schedule the appointment and you open it, right? I mean, because you have access to go ahead
Mhm.
and open the house for the appraiser.
Yeah.
Whereas that is not the case with loan officers that don't have the access to open it up for the appraisers.
Mhm.
There could also be like, say, for example, I think this is one of the major ones, right? The major one is when clients are confused, they don't know who to ask the question to. Should I
That's
ask this to my realtors or should I ask this to my loan officer?
right.
And if you're the one that's doing the whole entire transaction, they just ask you, right?
Mhm.
And you can take care of it for them and understand, the perspective that they need to be able to handle, whether it be the loan side or it be the realtor side. Because there are times where like someone has a different loan officer, right? And they'll come and ask me, and I'll be like, hey, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I am a loan officer. I can kind of explain this, but I need you to go to your loan officer so that he can explain it in details, right?
Mhm.
Because he'll get the information directly from the underwriters. And like clients they'll come to you and they'll be like, hey, so as a realtor, they'll come to you and they'll say something like, hey, so I don't know, a tree just fell on my car and um I need a new car. Is it gonna be okay? Right. And the answer is gonna be, hey, you need to go talk to your loan officer, right?
Mm.
Whereas if I was the loan officer on it as well as the buying agent, I can just say, hey, let me take a look at that real quick. We'll crunch some numbers real quick. Oh, look at it. You do qualify for a car as well as for the house. Go ahead and move forward. Or hey, you're gonna have to wait, right? You're gonna have to wait until this transaction is over. Your numbers are a little bit tight. Can you borrow a car for a few months before you make that transaction take place, right? Because you may need that cash or you may need that income to qualify for the house. So it makes it easy for you to go ahead and just have that conversation right away instead of them wondering like, who should I call first? Should
Mhm.
I call my realtor? Should I call my loan officer? And as a realtor, I'm going to be honest. As a realtor, I love all of my clients to contact me first, so I can direct them to where they need to go. As a professional, we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and we're following through on our end. And so when we do that, we do move them in the right direction. However, there are some times where when you're the realtor, you cannot get involved with some of the information that they provide because there's a client confidentiality with banks and financial institutions, right? So
Yeah.
if you're both, it makes it easier, and if you're not, that makes it a little bit more difficult. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how I look at it. Because there to be honest, there are going to be miscommunications, right, in the process. Not everybody communicates exactly the same, so you want to make sure you can make it as clear as possible. If you're the sole communication, the hopes is that you communicate really clear with your clients, and it makes the process really, really easy for them, right? I think that's the biggest
Yeah. That's the biggest takeaway. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
takeaway.
Yeah. For both listing agent communicating with them and also communicating with the buyer, right? Um, just makes it much easier for one person to kind of control everything, right? Because as
Mhm.
the agent, you're not worried like, hey, did your loan officer tell you you got to buy insurance, right? Uh,
Right, right.
did they get the appraisal ordered for you, right? Because
Yep.
especially if it's a bad loan officer that's not communicating with the buyer agent. I mean, sometimes they don't even let us know what's going on. Like we're just like in the dark as much as the buyer is, and so
Yeah.
it kind of sucks when it's like that. But sometimes it happens. Very poor communication on the loan side. We don't have visibility on that because, like you said, if some loan officers are like, "Stay in your lane, agent. Don't bother me."
Mhm.
Right? So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, luckily most of the loan officers that I've talked to, they're pretty kind about it.
mhm,
But like I know that back in the days when I worked with Wells Fargo, those
mhm.
guys are like, we don't talk to realtors. Like period. We don't talk to realtors. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well then don't be surprised if we go a different direction, if your clients go a different direction, because
Mhm.
we're one of the main point of contacts and you're not talking to us. It makes our client's life so much more difficult. And to be honest, if we're going to provide a higher level of service, we're going to provide them with other services that might be able to allow them to get the level of service that they want. Now of course it's always the client's decision, right? We're not going to
Oh,
force
yeah.
them to
Oh, yeah.
change anything, but um
Yeah.
it's still something that I think that, like I ran into those difficulties back in the days. Now, I haven't come across a Wells Fargo transaction in a while.
Yeah.
But back in those days we did have some pretty tough situations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um and I don't mean to call them out, like overall I think they're a great bank. I bank with them too. So um
You used to work for them.
overall, I think they're a great bank, but, the honest truth is that there were some challenging times there back in the days.
Yeah.
Um,
Weren't you an LO for them for a while?
Not at Alo, no, I
Oh, no?
I ran an underwriting team, so I
Oh,
ran
okay.
a
I was
fulfillment
Fargo.
team,
Okay.
yeah, so a fulfillment team with underwriters, processors, closers, and stuff like that for Wells
Okay.
Fargo, and then I moved over to US Bank where I went into the wealth management division, right,
Okay.
so, but yeah, so, like, as a, uh you know, loan originator slash realtor, is it pretty hard to do both? Do you think it's pretty hard?
Um, Not really. I mean hard, it's just like what we tell people whenever they want to become a realtor or a loan officer. It's like, yeah, it's gonna be hard at first, but
Mhm,
eventually, once you learn what you're supposed to do and you get enough repetitions, right, and
mhm,
you know the process, it's not that complicated, right? We're as the realtor, we're pretty much we're we have all the deadlines, right? So we know what all the deadlines
mhm,
in a transaction are, right? And we're
mhm,
handing it over to the loan officer. Hey, here's the deadline. Here's the closing.
Here's when we need your loan approvals to be done. Here's when we need your appraisal to be done. So
Mhm.
we're giving them the deadlines, right? And
Absolutely, yeah.
if you're both, I mean, you're the one setting the deadline, so you better be able to hit it,
Yeah,
right?
yep,
Yeah. So I mean, no, it's not that much more difficult, to be quite honest, to be both. I mean, it you know, the loan officer side of things, it's actually um not too bad either because like I was telling you, like being a loan officer I think is easier than being a realtor. Because we have the team of support, right? We have a whole team. We
yeah,
have processor, we have the underwriter, we have our account executives, right? We have people that support us. On the realtor side, we're by ourselves, right? A lot of people don't understand
yeah,
it, but your realtor is pretty much the quarterback. Like there's nobody behind them. They're the ones that structuring the deal for you. They're writing the contract. I mean, they have a broker that kind of oversees it, but majority of the time, 99% of the transaction, you're never talking to your broker, right?
yeah,
The only time you talk to your broker is when the deal's going bad. Something majorly is wrong, right?
yep,
Um, and on the lender side, I mean, yeah, the loan officer side, it's you just got to go through the process, and the process is depending on how quickly the documents are reviewed, the underwriter goes through things, appraisal gets scheduled. It's all predefined steps, right? Every time, but it's like,
yeah,
hey, every borrower is a little bit different, right? If we have issues, oh wait, what's the child support money you have that you didn't tell us about? you know, or what's this judgment you have that we found? Now you owe like somebody 50,000. How you gonna pay that? And how you gonna buy your house, right?
yeah,
So yeah, things can get difficult, but I think sometimes it's more so on the borrower's finances, right? And the job.
right.
So
Yeah, kind of how I look at it is that, is it more challenging than just doing one or the other? I think so, a little bit, right? Um, but is it difficult to do? I don't think it's actually difficult to do because the difference is that like at least this is my take is that being a realtor, it's a little bit more activity based, right? A little less paperwork based and
yeah.
and it's the opposite for loan officers. It's a little less activity based and more paperwork based.
Mhm,
Um, and so the way I look at it is that like all the ones that are only doing one side, right?
mhm,
It's like they're playing checkers, right? They just jump over each one. But
sure.
for us who are, a loan officer and a realtor, we're playing chess, right? So we're looking at how can we take the whole entire deal down and make sure it goes as smooth as possible for our clients. And so
Mhm,
I think that the game is a little bit tougher than like chess is harder than checkers. But if you're good at it, man, you could reap the rewards, right? You can
oh,
really,
sure.
really reap the rewards. And so, or for your clients, anyways, right? And
Right.
of course for you too, as someone that does both.
Mhm,
So I'm gonna move us forward to
yeah,
like the numbers, right?
okay.
And maybe some real scenarios. So I had this client, right? And like this is not possible unless I was both, right? So I
Mhm,
had this client where I was both the the buying agent and the loan officer. So what that allowed me to do for them, right, is I was able to come in, I was able to put the loans together, and this couple, right, they're not like super rich or anything, right? So they're buying a small town home. They just got married a couple years in, they just had a son, and they're in the process of buying this townhome, right? Well, I can come in and I can say, okay, so like we can cut some of the commission on one side or the other and give
mhm,
them benefits, right? So like we can do things like what builders can actually do, right? And so what we did was some of the commissions that I had, I went ahead from the buyer side to go ahead and give them some seller paid, or not seller paid, but agent paid closing costs, right?
Mhm.
from the agent side, and then from the loan officer side, I was able to give them a discount as well. So
Mhm.
the amount of money that they saved was like $8,000 if they were to have gone with someone else, right?
Yeah.
And so like there's creative things that we can do that nobody else can do because we have both positions, right? And
Right.
especially, we're in the business of helping people, right? So
Mhm.
of course we're going to do things to benefit our clients, but of course we do expect to get paid for our transactions, right?
Sure.
So, and for what we do in the service that we provide, because we do also provide a higher level of service. But being able to do that, like, dude, I think anybody that can get an additional $8,000 to help with their transactions would be ecstatic, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think the one that I've helped out the most, they saved like $20,000, right?
Wow.
So of course the house was bigger, right? So the percentages were different, but
Yeah.
they saved approximately $20,000. So
Yeah.
when you're looking at those numbers, I think that's huge for you to have someone like myself or Lord do business with you. Um, and
Yeah.
so, I
And
mean, we're not gonna cut deals on every single one of them, but we have the ability to look at it and make it better than what anybody else can do. At least that's how I feel about it.
right, right. So I just want to add, like, so both of us are brokers, by the way.
Mhm,
A
mhm,
lot of people out there don't understand. There's no difference to them. Mortgage broker, loan officer. So a mortgage broker can be a loan officer, right?
mhm, mhm.
But not all loan officers are brokers. So
Correct.
brokers are pretty much independent. We can shop. So you come apply with us. You apply one time. We pull your credit once. We can shop you across all of our lender partners. And so I have
Mhm,
about
mhm,
270 plus lender partners. So I work for you as the borrower, right? I'm trying to
mhm,
match the correct lender to your financial profile. Um, Whereas if you go to your bank, right, those loan officers, they only work for the bank. They don't work for you. You go apply with them, they can only shop the loans that their bank offers. And if you don't fit in their box, sorry, right? That's what they're going to tell you.
mhm, mhm.
And then
Yep.
usually those type of buyers that come see us, the brokers, and say, hey, I got denied by so and so bank, blah blah blah. What can you take a look? What can you do for me? Right? Because
Mhm,
some of our
mhm,
lenders, they're not as rigid. Some of them have more flexible requirements, right? They might be able to take a lower credit score. They might be able to ignore, or some of your financial blemishes, right? um so they can work with you, right? And that's one of the biggest differences. And
mhm,
like Johnny was talking about a little bit earlier with the credits and whatnot, there's some cool stuff that we as brokers we can do, because we're the ones who can kind of like tell you to like, hey, this lender, if you go with say 7% rate, this lender is offering $10,000 select credit or lender credit, right? So you
mhm.
could get some money back to you to help you close. This is stuff
Yep.
your realtor doesn't understand. This is like loan officer stuff, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
you will never hear this stuff from a realtor because they don't have access to this, right? They're not licensed to do this. But what happens is certain lenders, they will set certain rates on sale, right? So
Mhm,
meaning that, you know, if the lowest rate is 6.5%, maybe they're like, hey, you can get like $100 of lender credit. But
mhm.
if you go 6.625, which is an eighth percent higher, you could get $5,000 lender credit back to you at closing. And
Yep.
so we as brokers, we can go back to our client and be like, hey, here's what the rate options are, right? Understand you want the lowest rate here. That's this option here. Or if you're willing to go a little bit higher in the interest rate, this lender is offering a special this month, right? Because they always like to do specials. Um,
Mhm,
and so they're like, yeah, you take this rate and you can potentially get $5,000 credit. So as a consumer, what do you want? You want the $5,000 to help you close and buy that house, or you want the lowest rate and you don't get any lender credit, right?
mhm.
So
And
these are options we can provide. Yeah.
I
But
was gonna say that that could be the difference between qualifying and not qualifying and
mhm,
being able to get that house or not get that
right,
house.
right,
And if you are someone that knows both as an agent and a loan officer, you can, coach or maybe not coach, but you can move your clients in a direction that will benefit them the most, right?
right.
And so I think that it's huge understanding these specific strategies. Now,
Yeah,
not all loan officers are top tier. Not all agents are top tier. We wish that they all were, right. But I think that for those that have both dual licenses, oftentimes they're a little bit more knowledgeable than those that don't, right?
yeah,
Now, I mean, maybe it's possible that, the realtor might know more from a realty perspective just because of experience level. Or the loan officer might know a little bit more about the loan officer side because of experience level, and just more transactions. But I mean, I don't know about you, Laura, but like when it comes to the mortgage industry and the amount of closings that I've seen in my history of doing business, like since 2001,
mhm,
it's in the thousands, right? And
mhm,
so you can't discount the number of transactions that you've done because the things that you've seen, like not
yeah,
every I don't think I've ever had one transaction that went exactly the same as another ever.
right.
And
Yeah, I don't
so
think it's possible, yeah.
yeah.
Very, very few and far in between, right? It's like, yeah. But just to be clear, we can't give you everywhere that deal, okay? These specials, they come and go, right?
They
It
do, they do.
depends. And because we're brokers, so we have a number of lenders that are trying to win our business, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so some months they run these specials where like, hey, this month we're discounting rates like they call it 50
Yep.
bips or 100 bips, whatever, which is like 0.5% to 1% off, right? We have a
Mhm,
lender right now that's running a special to the end of the month. If you get under contract and you lock in and you submit your loan, you can get 1% temporary buy down for one whole
mhm.
year for free.
Yep.
Um, so after the first year, your rate will go back up to the full rate, right? But your whole first year, it'll be you'll have a little bit of savings, right? So
Yep.
uh that's kind of one of the perks that when you work with a broker, depending what lenders have specials out there, uh and if you get your property under contract the right time, sometimes it benefits you. I've had it on the other end where I got my buyers under contract and then we had to wait until after appraisal to make sure that everything's good to lock the rate. And then the war happened, and the rates went
Mhm.
up, and then
Interest
the
rate,
lender
yeah.
credit disappeared. We're like, oh crap.
Ouch. Yeah.
So, but I mean, they were still able to afford it, but they couldn't get all the benefits, right? Oh, so
Right.
yeah, so kind of
Yeah,
missed
so
it
but
by like a week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those promotions don't always stick, but when they do and you can get in, they're great to have. I think that 1 buy down, where, for your first 12 months is 1% cheaper.
Hmm.
Um, and you don't have to pay anything extra, right? Because it's paid by the lenders. That's an amazing deal. If I think
Hmm.
anyone should jump on if they have that ability to do it. We have a lender that does that too. And so it's probably the same lender that we both
Some lender,
use.
same lender.
Yeah. Um, so I was gonna add that, I in the past, being like so I had a listing where a client came in, he saw my sign and he called me, and he was like, "Hey Johnny, so I was denied by my bank,
Hmm.
right? But I want to buy your client's house."
Hmm.
And I said, "Hey, the only way I can do that is if I represent both you." So here in Minnesota, we allow dual representation, which is
Hmm.
you represent both the buyer and the sellers. And so he was like, "Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with you representing me." I talked to the sellers; they were like, "Yeah, we're totally okay with that as long as you get the deal done."
Sure.
And he comes and he's like, "Hey, can you take a look at my transaction?" Right?
Hmm.
And with my underwriting background, I just glanced at it and I was like, "Yeah, no problem. We can get this done." We can do it multiple different ways. We can do it conventional, we can do a FHA, we can do a DSCR, right? How do
Hmm.
you want to handle this, right? And he's like, "You know what? I just want the lowest down payment and I want to be able to get in and, uh my daughter's going to be moving in with me, so I want to make sure that, she's going to be comfortable." And I was like, "Okay, let's put it together." Did the negotiations. The sellers got rid of the house that they want to get rid of. The buyer was able to buy the house that they want to buy, and they all saved a ton of money doing that process, right? And
Yep.
so I think that there is an advantage when you're working with just one individual doing both the realty side and the loan officer side, or the mortgage originator side. um
Mhm.
However, everybody's a little bit different, so you got
Yeah.
to make sure you know who you're working with, and how great they are when it comes to helping you in the process.
Yeah.
I also had clients that they come and they're buyers, and they're like, so we did qualify, but now we don't qualify anymore, and the loan officer can't give us a loan. What can you do as my agent, right? And I'm like, well, so what did they say? What took place? And they're like, oh, well, we own our own business, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and they averaged our income. And last year we didn't make as much as this year. We made like twice
Mhm.
the amount this year. And so because they averaged our income, we didn't qualify for the loan amount that we want. And I
Yep.
said, okay, well then, being a broker, we have programs where we can use a 1 year bank statements, right?
Mhm.
So 12 months of bank statements, and we can figure out if that works. Or we could do the DSCR product, right? And
Right,
so
right.
talking to them about it, in this case, they wanted to buy a primary home. So then we didn't go DSCR, we went the bank statement route, and they were able to qualify just fine. Right. So having
Yeah.
a realtor who knows products and guidelines and understands the business, because not all, like, I'm gonna be honest, most large institutions will not be doing transactions like bank statement loans.
No, they
They
don't.
will be doing, transactions like DSCR loans.
Yeah.
And so, being that we're both brokers, I think that, that takes us up a notch. And it's like you said earlier, we have tests that we had to go through, that they never did, to be
Mm.
able to get the licenses that we have, and to be able to do the business that we do. And I think that that's a huge deal. So,
Yeah, yeah. So, I just wanna add that not only, us being, just dual license people in general, right? Dual license realtor and loan officer. Not only is it a benefit for you if you're a buyer, right? But if you're a seller too, right?
mhm,
So the way
mhm.
that we can
Absolutely.
benefit you as a seller, if you're gonna hire a realtor who is also understands the lending side, right? The benefit is that when we're listing your home and those offers come in, we're calling those. You better believe we're going to be calling those buyers loan officers, right? We're going to be grilling them like, hey,
Mhm, mhm.
did you look at the buyer's income? Did you look at their job? Yeah, yeah, we looked at all that. Yep, blah blah. Yep. And so we're making sure that they're actually qualified, and the level of qualifications that these buyers have, right? And we're bringing that information back to our
Yep.
seller, like, hey, um, and like you said, there's some lenders out there we know that don't do the best job. So if a buyer comes in and they're using one of those lenders that are kind of like they got a sketchy track record, we're like, stay away from this one, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Or like you said, hey, we'd be willing to take a look at your offer, but you got to go get a different pre-approval from this place.
Mhm.
Of course, we can only recommend it. They don't have to do it, but um, that's kind of where the advantages come in, right? As because we
Mhm.
understand the lending side, we're able to analyze like, hey, how strong of a buyers these offers are coming in at, right? Of course,
Yep.
cash is best, but not always the case. Um, so yeah, I just want to add that in there. I had a recent situation where I was the listing agent, and at first everything seemed good with the offer. We took it, right? And but then there was a home sale contingency on it. So meaning that the buyer had to sell their home by a certain date in order to buy my seller's house, right?
Mhm.
And so of course that deadline was coming up. It was like 2 weeks, and I'm calling the buyer. I'm the buyer agent. I'm like, hey, how's your buyer's home sale coming along? Is it under contract yet? No, it's not under contract. We just dropped the price 5,000. Like, you do realize you need to sell this place in 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
That ain't gonna happen. And so, what's your plan? right? And he was like, well, I'm trying to talk him to getting a bridge loan. So like trying to get a
Mm.
temporary loan, right? To
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that they can borrow the equity money and buy my seller's house, right? Without having to sell their property. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, get on it, right? Like you don't have much time left. You better get on it. And then 1 week comes by and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Right. And he's like, yeah, we're starting the bridge loan. Like we're starting looking at it. Like, what the heck? Like called you like a week ago, right? And you guys still haven't started yet. Um, and then a couple of days come by. He's like, okay, yeah, we're really close, but we had to change lenders, blah blah blah. Uh, the lender's working on it, the loan officer's working on it. And then I was like, okay, what's the guy's info? Send it to me so I can talk to him.
Mhm.
And so, because obviously, I want to talk to the lender to hear it directly from the loan officer, right?
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. We're doing our due diligence, right?
right, right.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find out, hey, what's going on? What's really going on, right? Where is your buyer at, right? And dude, I got the loan officer was just terrible to get a hold of. Left a voicemail. He texted me like, hey, he's busy. I'll call you back later. Later becomes tomorrow, and then the next day. So it's over the weekend now. And then Monday comes around and he's like, hey, are you ready for a call? Blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, call me. Been
Yeah.
waiting. Right. And then we finally get on the phone after playing phone tag for a couple of days. And I ask him, okay, hey, who's the actual lender in this? And he's like, well, I'm a broker. I was like, yeah, I know. I know what that means. It's
Yep.
like, so yeah, who are you using? He's like, um, I don't know. I don't remember. It's either this guy or that guy. I'm like, what? How do you not know who you're sending this bridge loan to? Right? That's
Yeah.
like the automatic red flag. Like, are you even working on this thing? Like, like how do you not know where like it's just like unthinkable, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
after hearing that, having the conversation and just like, dude, these people have no idea what they're doing. Like they're probably just starting this thing fresh from scratch. And so
Right.
of course they're trying to ask for extension, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And I go back to my seller. I'm like, hey, talk to loan officer. He has no idea what he's doing. He doesn't even know who he's using for this loan. And I don't want us to waste our time here. Let's just not extend. We're gonna cancel. We're gonna bring this house back in the market, and we're gonna find a new buyer. Right. And that's
Mhm.
what we end up doing. So, but we're under
Nice.
contract now, so that's good.
Sweet, sweet. That's good. Yeah, I like to add, like
Mhm.
something another benefit that we could bring to sellers is we can actually offer loan programs, right?
Mhm.
So we can offer the 1.0 buy down, right?
Yeah.
Up until the end of this month. We can offer it on our listing. So if someone wants to come and buy it, right, and they come through our lending brokerages, they
Mhm.
have the ability to obtain that as well, right? So
Sure.
that's something that other realtors can't do because they would have to work with their loan officers. If their loan officers don't have that program, then they just can't do anything, right?
Mhm.
So there are benefits to using uh, someone that is both a realtor and a loan officer. Um, yeah, I think that kind of covers it, man. Like that covers our show. Like we covered a lot in this show. And
Mhm.
we're pretty much our time's up. But I did want to talk a little bit about the Ninja Wealth Exchange. So if you are watching this and you want to meet us in person, or if you're watching this and you want to level up your game when it comes to real estate investing, or level up your game when it comes to being a realtor or a loan officer or anything like that, we're going to be hosting an event on June 26th, right? June 26th, Friday, from 9 to about 4 o'clock. If you want to come out and spend time with us, we'll have the link in the comments, right? Right, Laura? um,
Yeah, it's scrolling at the bottom right there as well, and the link to sign up for the tickets. But it's going to be a live in-person event in
mhm,
St. Paul area at Jimmy's conference and catering center, right? And we're going to have a
mhm,
stacked lineup. I'll be talking, Johnny will be talking, but besides us, we're going to have other people there. Tu Fang, the the OG wealth builder. He's going to be talking about how he was able to sit down with over 100 millionaires, really have pick their brains, and then he basically took all their information and he was able to duplicate their success, and now he's like a millionaire himself.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he's going to talk about how he did it, right? And then we're going to have a Florida professional, real estate professional investor as well, and she's quite an investor. She knows what she does quite a lot of things: short-term rentals, long-term rentals, sober living houses, assisted living houses. But she is out of Florida, and there's a lot of people like me who are not fans of the cold and the snow, right? And so we're secretly trying to plot our escape from the north here. So there's a lot of headlines going around that Florida's crashing hard, right?
Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
I've been seeing
definitely.
the prices. I've been watching the prices, and I think it might be that time to start taking a serious look.
To jump, right? Right? Yeah.
But yeah. So we're gonna have her come up, and she's gonna share what she's seeing on the ground there, and whether it's real or not, right? And on top of that, we're gonna have, like I said, we're gonna have Johnny here talk about his underwriting experience, right? And basically, we're gonna have like a whole deal underwriting master class, right?
Yep.
Johnny's gonna go through spreadsheets, numbers, how to know what a good deal is, how to know what a bad deal is, right? And if you have no idea, or if you're like a numbers nerd and you really, really like to have your I's dotted, your T's crossed before you pull the trigger on something, and maybe even look it over like 10 times, right? This is the session for you.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, Johnny's gonna have that whole spreadsheet thing going on. Bring your spreadsheet, bring your laptop if you want to follow along.
Might be
So
boring, but can make you a lot of money.
Yep. And then we have our keynote speaker coming in as well, and he is a seasoned professional in the real estate games, like
Sweet.
over 400 properties sold, hundreds of flips done, right? He also has a real estate leader of 300 plus agents. So quite a lot of things that he brings to the table here, and he's going to share with you what that looks like, how to build your financial freedom through being a real estate professional. So a lot of things we're going to be talking about, a lot of great ideas. So if you want to be in a room with people like that, where you can learn how to level up, how to really scale, right, and grow, you got to get your tickets, got to be in the room with us.
Yeah, you don't want to miss it. Honestly, I think that oftentimes this meeting is going to be really small and intimate, right? And so the hopes is that you become friends with all of these people, including ourselves, and we can do business together, right? So if you want to learn and grow, as well as if you want to have partnership, this is the place to do it. So. Yeah, just I say click on the link, register, get on the list. There is a cap of 50 people, and so as soon as we get to that 50 amount, we're going to be closing it off. So don't wait too long.
Right. Early bird tickets do end this week, so you definitely want to sign up. And quite honestly, if the money is an issue for you, just talk to us. Let us know. We'll
Yep.
be happy to comp you a ticket. Especially if you watch the show. I mean, if you're watching now, yeah, we get you in. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, for sure. If you're one of our subscribers, hit us up. Let us know. And if
All right,
not, hit us up anyways.
all right, sounds good. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Remember to hit like, subscribe, and hopefully we see you on the 26th. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it, man.
All right, later.
All right.